from Jenna. Speaking of Catholicism, I'm a Catholic woman in her mid-20s. I met my boyfriend 3 years ago when I was struggling with my faith. Due to this, we did not wait until marriage to sleep together. But especially in the past year or so, I've been struggling with guilt and wanting to stop until we're married. How do I tell my boyfriend? He respects your opinion, so what are some arguments as to why this would be a good decision for ourselves and future marriage? Thanks. I think this is a great idea. And it's weird because a lot of people beat themselves up over this. They say, okay, well, I did one thing in the past, and then I've now changed my mind about that thing, but I feel like I've still got to do that thing, which I now think is wrong. No, you don't. You've changed your mind. Now change your behavior. It's a little bit easier to change your mind than to change your behavior sometimes, but surely your behavior should follow from that changed mind. What are some good arguments for this? Well, a good argument from tradition is simply that this has developed when our society had a sane sense of social relations, and it developed presumably for a reason. And you actually don't need to boil that down to an explicit, rationalist, ideological summation of why it works. The very fact that it has worked for so long and led to flourishing cultures is in itself actually a pretty good argument. Why is it better to wait until marriage? Well, it's better to wait until marriage, even though in this culture, virtually nobody has done that, especially among millennials or Gen Z. But when we realize it is better, why is it better? Well, because it represents a commitment. It represents a giving wholly of yourselves to the other person. Presumably, if you've been sleeping together before marriage, probably you're using contraception, I would imagine. That in itself, also part of Catholic teaching, is withholding a very important piece of yourself from your spouse. And so, in a way, it represents you and your spouse using each other merely for pleasure, not to give yourself wholly to someone. Norm Macdonald, the comedian, has a great bit on sex. I forget which album of his this is, but go back and check it out. He walks in, he goes into this nightclub, he goes, okay, so, I was thinking the other day that sex is a filthy, shameful thing that is obviously only meant for procreation. And, gets this big shock and surprise from the whole audience. But the thing is, he's sort of right, and he goes through all the reasons why. So that's a more comedic way of thinking about why this is. And another reason that it might behoove you to stop now and then wait until you get married, which, by the way, good friends of mine have done. Friends who were definitely getting down to business before they had a reversion to the faith, and then they have paused it before their marriage. One of the reasons is that the anticipation will make the marriage itself, one of the most significant events of your life, more special. The kind of Catholic idea of the world is first the fast, then the feast. The idea is we live in time and space, and so it is important discipline for us to fast sometimes, to deprive ourselves of certain things, to discipline ourselves a little bit, and then on feast days to gratify some more of those longings. And through this process, we come to a fuller understanding, not just of our bodies, but of our spiritual selves as well. And the tough line on other religious ideas, and certainly on secularism, is instead of first the fast, then the feast, you have first the feast, then the hangover. And that's the culture that we're living in right now. And that's just not the best way to live for human flourishing. So I hope somewhere in there you get a good argument to convince your boyfriend, because I'm telling you, if you take a little break for a while, it'll be that much better when you start again.